India loves SUVs. Well, it's not just India, the world loves SUV. And that's why you see Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, Ferrari, everybody making SUVs. But you cannot forget the good charm and love for the sedan segment. And India and across the world, sedans were once the best vehicle to be chauffeured around and to drive around. And which other company did it better? If you talk about Skoda, starting with the Octavia in India, which was like built like a tank and told us and reminded us what a beautiful and a sturdy sedan looks like. And followed by the Skoda Laura, the Skoda Superb, which in a way is really a testimonial of the name it has, Skoda Superb. Until now, even its fourth generation Skoda Superb is class apart. For the first time across the world, we're seeing a car that Skoda is launching, a sedan. Finally, I would say this is kind of a revival of sedan segment for everybody around the world, wherever this car will be launched. And with cars like the Skoda Slavia, I'm betting on it that the sedans will be loved once again. And there are many reasons for that. It's not just because it looks beautiful, it is Skoda, it is simply clever, it has good engine, good transmission options, but also it has the practicality of an SUV. Yes, I'm not kidding. It is one of the longest cars you can buy in this segment. It has the biggest boot space that you can get in this segment. It's 521 litre of boot space. That is equivalent to what you get in an SUV. So that's it. Let's start with our first drive of the Skoda Slavia. This is the piping hot red color, which is like really stunning, very sporty, looks very attractive, and in real, it's really eye-catching and a head-turner. And the version that we're driving right now is the 1 litre manual transmission. We'll also be driving the other variant, which is the 1.5 litre DSG transmission. For now, let's talk about the design elements of this car. Being a first generation Skoda Octavia owner, I can vouch for a lot of things that Skoda does and does best, especially when it comes to build quality, features, safety features, and especially the looks it has. Similarly, this one is really racing ahead of the competition. Just look at those lines on the bonnet and how the Skoda logo sits on top, these chrome elements, and again this red color is so beautiful, it just can go on and on about it. Now if you talk about the front profile, it is obviously what you expect from a sedan or a saloon or a limo version, and it is like that, but what you have to notice is this huge grille, not as huge as you would see on the BMWs, but of course huge for this segment. And I like the way it's like a jaw with huge space for airflow. And then you see this eyebrows on the fog light, which is like chrome eyebrows on top of it, which is really nice. And now just look at this Skoda crystal lighting. I mean, looks menacing, right? Looks really sporty. These crystals inside are really nice to look at, and especially in this segment, it is really a game changer. If we talk about the sportiness, these arches on the bumper, this really great lines running across. You know, it starts from the light right here, goes till the tail light, which is really nice about this car. You know, keeping it sporty, keeping it elegant, keeping it Skoda. So moving on to the side, you can see on the fender, huge Skoda branding, and you can see the lettering of Skoda like you would see on the rear. It's not just the logo here, embossed on the body. The indicators are obviously in the side view mirrors, the ORVMs. I was talking about those lines that are running across. So look at this logo, how it's dividing these two lines that run across and keeps getting wider, which is really well done, Skoda, really well done. And how it beautifully merges from the front fender, going across the car, through the doors, and meeting at the rear light, which is really fantastic. Now even on the doors, these subtle chrome elements, you know, in the window pane, over here the handles, and obviously it's like keyless entry, so there's a button here which you can use for locking and unlocking both the driver side and the passenger side. And if you look at the roof, it's again not like a different color, it's not dual tone, but a lot of areas taken by this big sunroof. It's not like a panoramic sunroof, but there is a sunroof which makes it look even more sportier, because you get a sunroof which is black and this is red, and I would love to see like a matte black roof. If Skoda does a matte black color or a matte black roof, which we've seen in the Rapid, we would love to see that. The shark fin antenna also really sporty, black in color. The contrasts are really, you know, working around, and that's really nice because it's black and red combination, very sporty, very nicely done. And even these alloys are so sporty and stylish. Again, mix of elements, you know, shiny part, chrome part, matte part, and mix of grays and silvers. Really nicely done, Skoda. And again, these wheelers are 16 inches, so 16 inches, a profile is of 205/55. So before we move to the rear, I would like to pay some attention to the rear window pane. So to make use of that interior space, especially when you're sitting at the rear seat, you get these huge window panes, and you can also see the quarter panel glass is also there, which makes it really more airy, more roomy. Now let's move to the rear and talk about the rear styling of this car. And now look at this rear. I mean, the Skoda lettering, the branding on there makes it really classy, premium. It gives you that feeling that you're driving a European car with European standards, European safety. Really feels nice. And just look at this boot. I mean, it's so angular, looks like a spoiler integrated in it. Reminds me of the Audis, the sporty Audis, you know. It's like obviously a sister company, but then again the Slavia branding. But not to forget, the Skoda's crystal lighting that we saw on the front is also on the rear. You can see those crystal elements on the rear light also, especially if you see on the sides, so much of crystal elements. These crosses that you saw on the front are also here. Really nicely done with the lighting, whether it's a front or the rear. Very subtle use of chroma here on the bumper line running across. Then you see the sensors and the camera on the boot, which is again a massive boot. As I mentioned, it does open like a regular boot that you see on sedans, but again the massive space. You get 4 cabin baggages with backpacks, with handbags, and still there's a lot more room in there. And not just that, once you lift the tray to access the spare wheel, you'll also notice there are tools and other things, the medical kit, but there's something in between that spare wheel. Now that's something very different that you might have never seen on any other car. Well, that's a subwoofer rightly planted right where the space could be. Now that's what we call simply clever Skoda. Now talking of audio, let's move on to the inside and talk about the interior and also how the interface is, how the audio is, of course. Let's get in. So as much as I love the exterior and the build quality, the interior is as premium, as plush as it could be for this segment. You have a lot of mixed elements. You have this copper line running across the dashboard through the vents, which is really nicely done. And also you can see that copper line that is going, that texture is going behind the touchscreen. These piano blacks and this copper texture, this rubberized texture here, and this instrument cluster. This is really nicely textured and does well, but then again the dust could be an issue, which we'll see later on when we do the full review. What I liked is interior also has good amount of Skoda branding, so you can see Skoda branding on the digital instrument clusters, like right on the top of it, which is really good and sporty. You see Skoda sound badging over here. You have a ticket holder that I said is already there. You have sun visors, but most of them miss on the lights. The co-passenger side has a mirror, but there are no lights. The light switches over here are also very plasticky and really hard to switch on and off. Otherwise, they have good white LED light, but then again, they're not easy or the way I would have liked it, like touch or simple button. This is a little cumbersome button, but again, cabin quality, build quality is amazing. You have all the touch controls for the AC and has a display, or everything is already there. You have good amount of space for keeping your phone. Again, for wireless charger, wallet, you have cubbies over here for the driver to keep his cards, coins. Then a lot of space in the door also, along with a few set of speakers. You still have a lot of space for bottle holders. There are 3 bottle holders in the center, and one of them has like rubberized grip so that it doesn't go loose. In terms of gear lever, I've already said it feels premium, but it's like something very basic that you all get in these cars. There is no sunglasses holder, that's why I'm resting them here so that I don't forget. There is lock unlock button right next to the gear lever. You have automatic engine cut-off button. You have ventilated seats for the driver and the co-passengers. So you have button. There are 2 levels to it. It is only cool, not hot, but it is there. Then you have USB Type-C charging ports. And what I liked is that you have a glove box that is cool. The start-stop button is where usually the key goes inside. So it is really easy to find. Even if you are sitting with a shut eye, you can just click on that button and start the car without any fuss. You don't have to go looking for it, because some of the cars I've noticed, if the steering is at a particular position, like if you have moved it up and down, the start stop button is always a struggle to find. This one is just right there where the key fob usually used to go. Standard buttons for Skoda lighting system. AC vents I've mentioned, slimmer ones in the middle and round circular ones on the right. We've talked about the comfort of the seats, everything. Now it's time to sit at the back and see how comfortable this is, because sedans are usually for people who like chauffeur-driven cars. So I'm at the back and there is so much of space. You could see that, specs and all is one thing, dimensions that you see on paper is something that is, you're obviously there, but it's when you sit in the car then wow, so much amount of space, especially this is a sedan, so you expect a lot of space, and this is one of the longest sedans out there. So you can see the amount of leg room, the kind of headroom, the kind of knee room, the kind of foot room. It's all like splurged upon. It's so much of space all around the car. You get rear AC vents, you get USB Type-C charging ports for either of the passengers. Also get phone holders. So there are magazine holders, but also phone holders on both the seats, which is very simply clever feature again. And on the door you see tweeters, speakers. For the rear passenger, there is a woofer at the back. There are cup holders in the center armrest, and the central tunnel is barely there. So a third passenger can easily sit in this car and also gets his own headrest. So Skoda knew that there are 3 passengers that can sit comfortably in this car, so they have given a headrest for the middle passenger also. So one of the features the Vento had and still has is this seat was considered as a VIP seat or a boss seat, and the person sitting here could control the seat, the co-passenger seat, by moving it up or down, or moving it forward or backward, which gave a premium feel and also felt like you are sitting in a presidential car, because you could move the seat really upright and get all the leg room possible from the car. This is not possible from the behind, but you can obviously do that when you're sitting in the front. Again, build quality is something that you love about Skoda cars, and opening and closing the door really makes you feel that you're shutting and opening a heavy door, which is really nice, and it speaks for itself. The seats on the back when you're sitting on either of the sides are really cocoons you, like they are inside and give you proper lower back support, proper thigh support. It's all there. You're not missing out on anything. Really comfortable sedan as we expected. So thumbs up Skoda for this comfortable seating. Now let's head to the drive part of the car and finally figure out which one to get, the 1 liter manual transmission or the 1.5 liter DSG transmission. So now that we talked about all the interior, the design, the exterior and all the features of the Skoda Slavia, the 1 liter manual transmission we're driving, it's time to talk about the drive of the car. Now we've been driving it in Goa, so you have to be careful that you can't really test it to the limits like you would in other cities where you have space, and because these are really tiny lanes that you're driving across, and that's where you test the maneuverability of the car, and that's what exactly we've been doing. Though it's such a long car, we're still able to drive it very nicely. It just cuts off the corners really well, maneuvers really well, and it is definitely a very peppy 1 liter TSI engine, and that's why Skoda is like so excited about it. It's not like a regular MPI engine that you get with other manufacturers. It's a TSI engine, and they've been gung-ho about it. So the 1 liter TSI engine comes with 999cc, and it comes with 85 kilowatt power, and if you talk about the torque, it is 178 Newton meter. It is obviously a BS6 compliant engine. It has higher fuel efficiency and better emission control. Other than the 1 liter manual transmission engine, the next variant we'll be driving would be the 1.5 automatic transmission, which will be the most exciting part because it's very powerful, churns out almost double the BHP, like around 250 BHP of power, and also is an automatic DSG transmission, which they're known for. Like we mentioned during the design part, that this car has a very good ground clearance, which is comparable to the likes of SUVs. We could go, soft off-roading, we could go through bumps easily, we could get over speed breakers easily. With most sedans, the problem is ground clearance, where you always worry about roughing up the scrape the body, the underbelly of the car. This is not a problem with this car at all, and especially because you have like huge bumps and breakers in Goa. We could clear them easily without worrying that we scrape the underbelly. It's a bit jumpy, and that's what you have to pay off for something that you get good ground clearance for. So there is always a trade-off. Again, a sedan, so you won't feel that it's a very bumpy ride, or there's body shaking and there's a body roll. Like I was saying, the comfort of a sedan with the ground clearance of an SUV, the best of both worlds. And since it's a first drive, we're not going to be able to test it to the limits, or talk about how the mileage was, though the company claims, because it has got the technology with 2 pistons cut off from the engine when you're not really using them. All the 4 pistons are not working. So company is claiming that you will get 18 km per liter out of a petrol engine, the 1 liter TSI engine, which is magnificent if it really happens. But then those are claims. We can't really test it. And if I talk about the ergonomics of the drive, steering is really nice to hold, chunky, and especially it's a 2-spoke steering wheel, so it looks like you're almost driving an aircraft. It looks really nice and sexy, and that's what's missing from the segment, the X factor. This reflectors on all doors, all these things have been taken care of, and the gear lever is right where the center armrest is, and the best part is you can adjust it, you can move it further as per your comfort, and you can move it back. So that's right there, and you get a lot of storage space here. So all these things have been sorted, and especially the UI of the car, standalone. Even if you don't connect your smartphone like an Android phone or an iPhone, you can still do everything. It has got Cyclic Maps, it's got BBC News, it's got Booking.com, it's got Ghana.com app. Everything is sorted without even connecting a phone, which is a great deal, because when you come to Goa, you always feel lack of connectivity. There are areas where you don't get any connectivity, and then you feel stranded without navigation. Well, you're sorted here. Skoda has taken care of that. Again, then when it's talking about the steering, I like the controls on the steering. These rollers are really easy to play around, maneuver with, especially when you're playing around with the tracks and the volumes and everything. You can just do that without even looking at what button you're doing that. You also get a voice command button, left and right button for the tracks. So all the controls are there. The speedometer is digital, which is nice to look at, though you're not able to do much around with it. In terms of gear shifting, the car also reminds you when you should shift the gear, and it easily says very clearly that right now if you're in manual 3 like M3, it says M3, and then it suggests that you can upshift like from 3 to 4. Though I haven't seen it like suggesting to downshift, even if I was not really putting any foot to the pedal. But again, it was suggesting me to upshift the gears when needed. So that's there, but even if you don't see those numbers, you can easily know when the car needs to shift, and it's again a peppy engine to drive, so it can really go as low as 1 RPM even if you're in third, and then pick it up till 4, 5 easily without worrying about it. So that's like easier gear shifting. One thing that is a bit uncanny, and I'm like really not understanding why it's like that, is the handbrake lever. When I sat in the car, I thought it's already applied over here. It's like already pulled because the height is so much. Usually it's a lot lower where you put your hand under it and you pull it. So right now it's not like pulled, but it still feels like you've already pulled the handbrake. It's too high for for normal cars, to be honest. Now both the seats are manual, so if you have to move them around, you have to pull the manual lever. Same as for the steering, you have to adjust it manually. Expected out of this. So that's about the manual transmission first drive. Now we'll be driving around in the automatic 1.5 DSI engine. So now we're driving the 1.5 liter TSI engine with automatic gear shift, the DSG gear shift, and that's really exciting drive. We have been driving around for a while now, and it is really exciting vehicle, especially because it's so peppy and the gear shifting is on point. And the more powerful engine, the 1.5 liter TSI, comes with 110 kilowatt of power. In terms of volume, it is 1495 cc. Again, active cylinder technology that helps in the fuel efficiency. Variable oil pump, start-stop function, and it comes in manual transmission and DSG, and it has inline 4-cylinder. In terms of torque, it comes with 250 Newton meters of torque. And by any means, if you ever feel that the drive or the sports gear shift is not enough for you, you can always take the control. Just use the paddle shifter. It automatically goes into the manual mode, and you can take over the car, take over and drive the way you like it. Even if you're in manual shift, if you're over revving, it automatically shifts the gear for you, so you don't have to worry that you have to do plus and minus. And I also noticed that after 65, it put me in 7th gear, which was too much for me because we were going uphill in Goa, so I had to take control and put it in manual mode. It was very easy. Either you can do it from the gear lever, just tap it on the right, on the fly it goes into manual, or you can just put it back into sports or drive, which is also very simple. Click of a button and it can be done. The gear lever is also very basic one. It's like the way usually you'll see in automatic cars, where it's like neutral, parking, reverse, drive, sports, plus minus. So you can use it like that. So yes, after you're driving, the 1 liter, 1.5 liter obviously feels much more powerful and peppy to drive. And given that you are in an automatic transmission with manual override and paddle shifters, feels a better car to drive overall. But then again, there'll be a lot of price difference when you're buying a manual transmission and a 1 liter engine than compared to a 1.5 liter automatic DSG, which is obviously going to be the top end range. In terms of safety feature, the Skoda Slavia comes with up to 6 airbags, which is front passenger airbag, front side airbag, driver airbag, and the curtain airbag. The other safety features include anti-lock braking system, which is ABS, and electronic brake force distribution, multi-collision brake, traction control system, electronic differential control, rain and light sensors, tire pressure monitoring system, hill hold control, electronic stability control, ISOFIX top tether, and brake disc wiping. We already talked about the seating comfort and ergonomics of the car when we drove the 1 liter, so I'm gonna skip that part. But again, a few things that I wanted to talk about is that boot open lid button is not there anywhere in the car. So if you're trying to find it, it's not there. The only way is lock and lock button is here that unlocks all the doors and also the boot. So you have to click it and we'll be able to unlock the boot. The other shortcut that I found is through the key fob. So if you have the key with you, there is lock button, unlock button, and there is the boot button. So if you keep it pressed, obviously you have to be in park mode. If you keep it pressed, the boot automatically opens, the lid opens up. It's not just like an unlock. The boot lifts up. So if you're going through a mall or a hotel or a restaurant where they need a security check and he's not able to find the button at the back, just keep it pressed, it'll boot up and you can get it checked and then shut. Obviously you have to shut it manually. The person who is checking it has to do it. So we're going downhill now, and while coming uphill also notice that there is no hill assist either way. So there's no downhill assist or uphill assist, because obviously most of the cars that have it are usually SUVs or all-terrain vehicle. Even though this car has a ground clearance of an SUV, which is really great, and as you notice that we went off-roading very positively without any worry about any damage to the car. It had really done well, but there is no hill descent or ascent control in the car. And in terms of the speedometer or the digital speedometer instrument cluster, in this one it's almost the same. The only difference is the gear shifting is obviously shown in D, S and M format, because it's drive mode, sports mode, or you're driving in manual. And also in terms of braking, we just encountered somebody crossing the road, like really jumping in front of the car, and the car could stop from 30 to stand still in a second. This press of a pedal and was just stand still, which is good, because as much as the power this car has, we have to have good set of brakes, and we get it on this one, so you are safe and taken care of. The Skoda Slavia will come in 4 different variants: the Active, Ambition, Style and Style for 1.5 liter. So Active will be 1 liter manual transmission, Ambition will be 1 liter with manual or automatic transmission, Style will be 1 liter manual or automatic transmission, and then final version would be the Style 1.5 liter with manual or DSG gear. Now everybody loves Skoda cars, but there was always one thing about that was worrying, and that was service cost. Everybody thought, or they had a conception, that cost of service ownership will be really high, but thanks to 90% localization and making it in India, Skoda has brought that down really to the level that it is extreme. For a 4-year maintenance package, all you have to spend is 24,499 rupees. That's incredible value for money. So that was our video, the first type of Skoda Slavia, both the 1.5 automatic transmission, the DSG, and the manual transmission 1 liter engine. Do let us know how you like the video in the comment section below, and if you like the video, please share it with your friends and family. Subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching the Unbiased Blog.